Rufford Old Hall is a National Trust property in Rufford, Lancashire, England. Built in about 1530 for Sir Robert Hesketh, only the Great Hall survives from the original structure. A brick-built wing in the Jacobean style was added in 1661, at right angles to the Great Hall, and a third wing was added in the 1820s. The Hesketh family live in Rufford Old Hall for over 400 years, and the property was passed down from generation to generation. The house has numerous historical artifacts and unique features such as a priest's hole which was used during the Protestant Reformation to hide Catholic priests from persecution. The garden at Rufford Old Hall is a real treat, with lots of variety and surprises around every corner, whether that's giant squirrel-shaped topiary, the beehives, picnic spots in the orchard, or simply spending a peaceful moment by the canal. The Hesketh family have been associated with Rufford Old Hall since the time of it first being built. However, they owned the land there for many decades before. The Heskeths received their estate and manor at Rufford by marrying into the Fitton family. Maud Fitton bought the land and title in the late 1200 to early 1300s. This was to be the Heskeths' main power base, although they had better quality land at Great Harwood. Back in medieval times, Rufford was very marshy, with nearby Martin Mere and River Douglas making it an isolated place. When Thomas Hesketh died in 1523, he left 3 daughters with the right to inherit. However, his illegitimate son Robert pressed his claim as heir. He had the support of his father-in-law Sir John Townley, of Townley Hall, Sir Thomas Southworth of Samlesbury, and the powerful Stanley family. His bid was successful and he received the manor and land. In 1530, to consolidate his claim, Robert built Rufford Hall, probably using the same craftsmen that had worked at Samlesbury Hall. The impressive wooden Tudor hall with its rare hammer beam roof is still there today. When Robert died, in 1541, the house had not properly been completed, but was finished off by his son Thomas. Thomas rotated his time between his 3 properties of Rufford, Great Harwood, and nearby Holmeswood Hall, which overlooked Martin Mere. He had William Shakespeare in his company of actors, taking him on from Alexander Houghton, of Lee Hall and Houghton Tower, after Houghton died. In 1662, John Molyneux of Teversall, Nottinghamshire, was acting as guardian to the young Hesketh heir. He had the huge 3-story brick wing built, and this too still exists at Rufford. This was for family and servants, and consisted of a large new kitchen, service rooms, and sleeping quarters. In 1720, a later Thomas Hesketh did a major rebuild by taking a large part of Holmeswood Hall and reusing it at Rufford. The existing east wing was taken down and a 6-bay, 2-story part of Holmeswood was erected in its place to create the 4-bay dining hall, the one we see today, and 2-bay anteroom and first-floor drawing room, also on view today. As the MP for Preston, he also owned Old Ribbleton Hall, but had wanted Rufford as it was so much grander. At the time of his death at the young age of 36, he was in considerable debt. By the mid-1760s, the Heskeths wanted a more modern home, and so had a brand new neoclassical mansion built nearby called Rufford New Hall, now converted into houses. The old hall was leased to Thomas Lowe, a gardener. With the family no longer in residence, it was probably very easy for the Leeds and Liverpool Canal Company to put a canal right next to the hall. Its function was to link the canal at Burskell with the River Douglas near Taunton. In the early 1800s, the Tudor Great Hall was used as the village schoolroom. The Heskeths employed a schoolmaster at £52.10 a year. In 1825, a new school opened in the village and parents that could afford it paid fees for their children to attend. There was a clothing fund which poorer parents contributed to, instead of fees, and which poaching fines also paid into. With the school out of Rufford Old Hall, Thomas Henry Hesketh was able to refurbish it to his late Georgian tastes. He employed local architect John Foster to add a mock Tudor look. Foster took the 1720 Holmeswood Hall wing, enlarged it, and added brick and plaster on the outside in an effort to make it look like timber framing. The main entrance was relocated into the 1662 brick wing, entering into what would have been the kitchen. This had a Tudor-style Gothic entrance door put in place to make it look more grand. The Great Hall had a lantern roof added to act as a skylight for the billiard table. The hall was ready for reoccupation in 1826, and Hesketh and his wife Annette collected carved oak traditional Lancashire furniture to fill it, much of it still on show today. They also added stained glass and a collection of mostly German and Italian armor and weapons in the Great Hall, a craze at the time amongst the gentry. 40 years later, the Heskeths inherited an estate in Northamptonshire and decided to relocate there permanently. In 1872 their land agent occupied the hall, and began to sell off their many Lancashire estates. The old hall was briefly reoccupied by Thomas Fermor Hesketh and his wife Florence, but in 1936 he decided to give the house to the National Trust, who have run it ever since. For the visitor today there is much of interest. The original high-status wooden Tudor Great Hall with its hammer beam roof, massive carvings and original unique movable screen are all in superb condition. The impressive 1662 wing with its converted kitchen is still the main entrance hall. The surviving parts of Holmeswood Hall live on in the ante, drawing, and dining rooms. The estate yard features Philip Ashcroft's Museum of Local Life. Concerned that local rural customs and practices were slipping away, in 1936 he started a collection of everyday objects for work, home, and play which the National Trust later took over. The Victorian 5-acre garden features a variety of rhododendrons, a woodland, and an orchard with old northern varieties of apples. Rufford Old Hall is a fascinating and historic attraction that offers a glimpse into the Tudor era. With its beautiful architecture, stunning gardens, and a unique historical features, the property is well worth a visit for anyone interested in history, architecture, or garden design. Rufford Old Hall admission prices. Adult gift aid £11. Adult standard £10. Child gift aid £5.50. Child standard £5. Family 2 adults gift aid £27.50. Family 2 adult standard £25. Family 1 adult family gift aid £16.50. Family 1 adult standard £15. Unable to film some of the interesting features seen upstairs because filming or photographs are not allowed.